Hey, YouTube clan and everybody out there that I love, and maybe I don't love you, I don't know. If you're jiving with freedom and love and peace, then I love you. Otherwise, I love you, but you gotta get your shit together. So I just got back from Anarchapulco 2016. It was held down in Acapulco, Mexico. Beautiful city. Never been there before. It's apparently perfect weather. It was like 92 degrees and sunny, and there's a bunch of bays, so the water is really calm, really warm, and it's nestled next to basically mountains, so you got your city between the mountains, and the water and the views are just crazy good. But what I really came on here to talk about is how that conference affected me and what it means for my life going forward. And hopefully you can pick up on some of the things that happened to me and maybe share in my enlightenment. There was a moment at the conference about halfway through it where I just almost broke down, and I probably should have broken down. I might still break down. I saw two really powerful speakers, Dana Martin and then Ken O'Keefe, back to back. And I was thinking about it, and I realized that what made it so powerful was the feminine, almost to perfection, in Dana Martin, and then the masculine, also very powerful, from Ken O'Keefe. And basically what it was Dana said, this is what we're doing to our children and to the animals of the planet. And there's such a strong need for compassion. There's such a strong need to stop so many of these different things that are going on. Child abuse, factory farming of animals. And then Ken O'Keefe came on the stage and said, it's your fault, and you have to do something about it, and if you don't do something about it, nothing's going to change. And it really hit me hard, how much of this is our responsibility. Even if we don't feel like, we're the people who did it, it's still happening in our world. And, there's a lot of truth about interdependence and being affected by the issues in the world. Like, if someone is doing something awful to someone else somewhere, it's going to affect you if you don't do anything about it. If you just stand by and let it happen, you're almost participating, or at least condoning it. And it's funny how events, or like this conference, it's funny how things kind of affect you almost on a subconscious level. It wasn't that I had really specific realizations, because I already was very on board with the philosophies that I heard there. Freedom and self-ownership and anarchy and peaceful parenting, and just a lot of the messages I already kind of had heard. But what happened when I came back is that I had no tolerance for bullshit. And what I mean by that is, I feel like before I left, I'd be having conversations with people in my life, at my business, or in the hallway, or whatever, wherever I am, and I felt like I had to self-censor somewhat, and almost just be kind of like that, what's the word for it, go along to get along kind of energy, like, smiling at things, or participating in conversations that maybe I wasn't interested in, or didn't appreciate what people were saying, but I still kind of smiled. In Acapulco at this conference, that never happened. There was never a conversation where I was like, oh, this person's saying this thing, and I'm just going to smile and nod. part of it being because everyone there had the same ideas about some of these basic things that I believe in, and they were so open to having good conversation. I didn't feel like I was about to be judged and excluded from whatever situation. I was able to speak my mind the whole time, and being able to do that for 4 straight days was something that I don't think I've almost ever experienced. And it made me realize that I'm only going to be happy when I do that. And it doesn't matter what other people say or think. That's who I am, you know. I'm going to speak my mind, and the repercussions are going to be what they're going to be. You know, the people in my life might not like it, and they might not want to hang out with me or whatever, and that's fine, and I'll just find other people. And, you know, it's really hard because I don't know a lot of people who understand that way, but I feel like I would rather just be alone or have the intermittent contact with people than I would be if I were to compromise my beliefs and the way that I feel about things in order to have more people around. But I feel like I'm reaching here, and this video is almost for me more than it is for the YouTubers out there. I want to figure this out. I want to know what this feeling is, and I don't want to lose it. I need to put words to it. This feeling that I have to take action, this feeling that my life is mine and it's glorious as long as I don't compromise. Because as soon as I start compromising, my life gets dull and my excitement just goes down, and I just want to, I don't know, escape. I want to like sleep or like smoke weed or whatever. It's not about being excited to do the next thing. I think I saw an article recently about how really the only thing that it takes to be happy is to have really good relationships. And it's true. Like, human beings are relationship people, or relationships animals. Like, we are super social, and if you're not social, it doesn't matter what else is happening in your life. If you don't feel like you're connected to people and that they're connected to you and that they care about you and that you care about them. One of the main reasons I went to Acapulco was to meet Dana Martin, and she is that completely embodied. She just cares. She had a quote, "My compassion doesn't have any limits." No one is exempt from her compassion. You know, in her speech, she was talking about animals. Like, they shouldn't be exempt from our compassion. And I think that's something related to what I was saying about speaking your mind and being who you are, not just having compassion for yourself, but having compassion for those around you, that you're going to be real. You're going to be true. You're not going to hide anything. You know, if you're mad about something, you're mad. If you want to, you know, say something that's going to upset somebody, so what? It's going to upset them. But that's being more compassionate to them by being real and giving them an opportunity to see the real you and actually understand what you have to say and understand what your real emotion is. Because when we don't do that, we're just creating these artificial barriers, which is, I think, what's wrong with the world. Everybody has an artificial barrier, and they want to, or they have let this system take over because they aren't able to be present. They aren't able to be real and actually have a real effect on the person. So they believe that they need, you know, a ruler, they need a government, they need religion, they need all these different things to control themselves and the other person, because they can't trust their own reality, their own like real conversation about something. It's it's hard. It's, coming back from the conference, like I said before, being surrounded by 450 people who are just constantly wanted to talk to you. They wanted to talk about all the ideas that you've been thinking about or I've been thinking about. And then I come back and I see your average person and they don't want to make eye contact and they're not, you see, I saw somebody in the elevator or, where did I start to have this feeling? I mean, you have it as soon as I moved away from the conference at the airport or whatever, but it was when I was alone in my building, realizing this is where I live, and there's people who just don't care. You just get that feeling like you can say hi to someone, and some people say hi back, and that's great. Like, I think that's really important that we say hi to each other, even if we're strangers. But some people don't, and some people act really weird about it, and that's that lack of genuineness that just gets. I think it puts us all into a state of not caring and distance and separation, and that's what allows all the evil in the world to happen. I'm feeling that this is what it is. We have to be genuine, and I have to be genuine, and I have things that I want to say to people and that I want to say to the world, and I'm not going to be afraid of who's going to judge me about it. And instead, I'm going to be excited because I'm going to share these things and I want to meet all these awesome people who agree with me and who can help me refine these ideas. So instead of being in this vibration of fear and trying to somehow go along to get along, maybe meeting people with the lowest common denominator before, where other people don't really want to talk to you, so I don't really want to talk to them either. That's fine. Let's just be separate. Let's whatever. But no, that bothers me, and it's good that it bothers me. It should. It's not the way it should be. The way that it should be is that we share things, and even if we don't agree or whatever, at least we shared it, and we know where the other person stands, and we know that we can actually talk to that person in a real way. I had a moment at the conference, and I've had it before, where I wrote down a big message that I want to spread, which is I don't want people to have these barriers anymore. I don't want them to have reasons to cut each other out. And that's what a lot of judgment is, and a lot of just people's attitude about each other. They say it's hard to have close friends, and it's hard to have good relationships with people. And I know from being an adult, I'm about to turn 31. As you get older, you lose more and more people out of your life. And instead of losing each other out of our lives, it's fine. Maybe you don't talk to somebody for a week, a month, a year. Fine. But that person still cares. And if you were to share yourself with them, they would care. But then these are things that happen on an instinctual level. The people that don't care. And that hurts. It's weird. It's why should that hurt? Why do I care what some of these people think? And on some level you don't, but on a spiritual level, I think you do. I think it's really hard not to, or I don't think you want to not care. You want it to not affect you because that makes you a happy person, and that's the only way to deal with this world. But recognizing that that's not the way it should be is what's so important. That's, I think, what I wrote down, is that we all are human beings on this planet, and we're smart enough to get that. And ever having, ever accepting that we're just separate and don't care about each other, it's ultimately not going to work that way. Like, ultimately, you can't just say, we're Christians and we're Muslims and we're just going to be separate. We just don't agree. It's like, no. I mean, you can't. That's just going to lead to war. And that's what we have. Right? When you travel the world, you find that human beings are all the same. We're all really similar. And I think human beings are we're almost unique in this way, that we care so much about everybody getting along. And I think it's part of our biology. Like, you're not able to have a tribe if everyone doesn't get along. And again, we're intelligent enough to everybody having their own opinions about things. And as long as we follow the tenets of anarchy, or also known as the non-aggression principle, just don't attack, don't do violence or theft against anyone. With that one rule in place, everything else is fine, and we should be able to have connections with each other no matter what. And that's really the bottom line, is having connections with everyone. And it's just so much better that way. You just feel so much happier when you genuinely feel like, hey, I can talk to anyone. I can talk to anyone about anything. And right now our country, the U.S., is headed the opposite way, right? I mean, it was founded on free speech. What an amazing thing to found a country on, to have as the first Bill of Rights. You are allowed to say whatever you want. You're allowed to believe whatever you want, right? And I think reasonable people believe that the Constitution is necessary to, have everyone to. There's no violence allowed, but you're allowed to think whatever you want, right? Ultimately, it was flawed because it's a violent thing to say this group of people has the right to do violence in order to prevent violence. That doesn't work. And I get that now, but I think that the point is that, hey, the ideal is that we all can say whatever we want, we can all think whatever we want, and as long as we abide by these really simple rules, we're going to have a great society and a great community. I mean, what if you could talk to anyone? And you can, but, what if you could talk to anyone and they responded in like a positive way, right? What if that happened? Like, how much healing would happen on this planet? How many people who have depression and all these worries about all these different things, how many of them would be just have this giant weight lifted off of them? And then what would they accomplish? What dreams have they not followed because they believe that they have to work a job that they hate just to get by? And they'd recognize that, they're going to be way better off doing something they love, and they'll still be able to support themselves. There's so many aspects of this. And it was funny because, like, as an anarchist, you have a very grim look on a lot of things in the world because you see them for what they are. There's governments everywhere. People's money is being stolen regularly. It's being printed into oblivion. There's people being murdered around the planet. But it like is dwarfed by the power of humanity and the power of people's true connection to each other that is almost like it's so close. All it takes is just a small, as Larkin Rose said in his talk, it's this small little thing. It's just this little thing that's stopping everyone from having a connection with each other. And it just feels so close to being perfect, almost. Not that things will ever be perfect, but perfect in that basic need, that basic human need for connection and peace. We're almost there. I mean, that's what I walked away from this conference feeling. we're almost there. Like, I was so grim, and it's funny because most of the speakers are talking about how the market's going to crash and there's going to be this giant calamity. Like, I don't even think that's going to happen anymore. Like, the market might crash or whatever, but it'll be better, and things are just going to get better. I walked away with this feeling that we're going in the right direction, and things are going to get better and better as long as you recognize them, right? It's the fact that things are getting better that the bad things seem so bad, because they stand out in our minds. They stand out from the energy that we're starting to feel as human beings. So this video's gone for a long time, and I feel like I've fleshed out a few of the ideas that I had. Please like, subscribe, comment. I want to know what you think about what I've said, and I'm hoping that I'm going to continue to be able to get out the ideas that I pulled from this conference. And honestly, I wasn't even emotionally prepared for this conference. As I said on Saturday, I got there on Thursday, or I got there on Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was overwhelmed, and I wasn't able to handle a lot of the things that were going on and that happened. I didn't meet all the people I wanted to meet. I didn't listen to as many speakers as I wanted to listen to, but it changed my life. So that's pretty awesome. So I love all you guys out there, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.